The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep rumble that shook the floor. Ambassador Hyan walked through the entrance, her black diplomatic uniform crisp and formal. Behind her, military liaison Daeho followed in his navy blue dress uniform, his face calm but his eyes alert. The chamber was enormous. 12 towering platforms rose like mountains around a central speaking area. Each platform held representatives from different alien species. Some looked like giant insects with multiple arms. Others had thick, scaly skin and glowing eyes. A few appeared almost plant-like, with green tendrils instead of hair. At the highest platform sat Council Prime Velthar. His species was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow under the chamber lights. 4 arms moved gracefully as he gestured. His large dark eyes showed no warmth as he looked down at the 2 humans. "Humans of Earth," Velthar's voice boomed through hidden speakers. "You stand before the Galactic Council to receive our final judgment." Hyan stepped forward and bowed slightly. This was proper protocol when addressing the Council. She had studied their customs for years. "Honored Council Prime, we are here to listen and to speak for our people." "There will be no speaking," another voice interrupted. This came from the insect-like representative on Platform 7. "Only listening. Your species has shown its true nature." Daeho's jaw tightened, but he stayed silent. Hyan had warned him this might happen. The Council often refused to let humans defend themselves in these meetings. Velthar raised one of his 4 hands. The chamber fell silent. "Humans have spread across the galaxy like a disease. Your colonies grow too fast. Your ships travel too far. Your people fight too much." A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a map of human space. Red dots marked human colonies and outposts. There were hundreds of them, scattered across dozens of star systems. "In 50 years you have claimed more territory than most species claim in 500, Velthar continued. "This aggressive expansion threatens galactic peace." Hyan felt her heart sink, but kept her face neutral. She had expected this accusation, but hearing it still hurt. "Council Prime, our expansion has been peaceful. We have not attacked any other species." "Peaceful?" The plant-like alien on Platform 3 spoke with a voice like rustling leaves. "Your military ships patrol every system you enter. Your colonies are armed fortresses." "We defend ourselves only," Daeho said firmly. "Human colonies have been attacked by pirates and raiders. We must protect our people." "Lies," hissed the scaly reptilian from Platform 9. "Human aggression is well documented. Your species wages war on your own home planet. You bring this violence to space." The accusations continued for an hour. Each council member took turns listing human crimes. They spoke of human barbarism and primitive thinking. They claimed humans were too violent to join galactic civilization. Finally, Velthar stood up. His full height was impressive, nearly 3 meters tall. "The Galactic Council has reached its decision. Humanity must abandon all colonies beyond your home system within 30 standard days." The words hit Hyan like a physical blow. "Council Prime, that is impossible. Millions of humans live in those colonies. They have homes, families, businesses. These are not military outposts, but civilian settlements." "That is not our concern," Velthar replied coldly. "Your species chose aggressive expansion. Now you face the consequences. Any human ships found beyond the Sol system after 30 days will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly." Daeho stepped forward. "Are you threatening to attack civilian ships?" "We are promising to maintain galactic peace," the insect representative clicked. "By any means necessary." Hyan tried one more time. "Please, Honored Council, allow us to negotiate. Perhaps we can discuss a gradual withdrawal or supervised colonies. There must be a solution that protects innocent lives." "The only solution is complete withdrawal," Velthar declared. "Humans have proven they cannot be trusted with freedom of movement. Return to your small system and stay there." The meeting was over. Guards appeared to escort Hyan and Daeho from the chamber. As they walked through the corridors of Andromeda Station, neither human spoke. The weight of the Council's ultimatum pressed down on them. Back on Earth, President Sujin sat in the emergency meeting room deep beneath the Capitol building. The room's walls were lined with screens showing data from across human space. Fleet. Admiral Taemin sat to her right, his weathered face grim. Chief Science Officer Hana sat across from them, her fingers dancing across a tablet computer. "How long until Hyun and Daeho return?" Soo-jin asked. 6 hours, Taemin replied. "But we already know what happened. Our listening devices picked up everything." Soo-jin nodded. "Those devices were technically illegal, but every species used them. Diplomacy was a game where everyone cheated, but everyone pretended they didn't." 30 days, Hana said quietly. "It's not enough time to evacuate even one major colony, let alone all of them." "They know that," Taemin growled. "This isn't about evacuation. It's about forcing us to abandon our people or fight a war we can't win." "Can't we?" Soo-jin asked. The question hung in the air. Officially, human military forces were small and poorly equipped compared to Council fleets. Every human ship that visited Council space was inspected. Every weapon was cataloged. The Council believed they knew exactly what humanity was capable of. "Madam President," Taemin said carefully, "that depends on what we're willing to reveal." Soo-jin understood. For 20 years, since first contact with the galactic community, humanity had played a careful game. They showed the aliens exactly what they wanted to see: a young, weak species with limited technology and primitive military thinking. But humans were very good at hiding things. "What about our missing cargo ships?" Soo-jin asked. "Do we have any new information?" Hana's expression darkened. 7 ships in the last 3 months, all carrying humanitarian supplies to outer colonies. All disappeared near Council space. "Pirates?" Taemin asked, though his tone suggested he didn't believe it. "Unlikely," Hana replied. "These ships were well defended and took different routes. Someone with detailed intelligence and superior firepower is taking them." The implications were clear, but unspoken. The Council wasn't just demanding human withdrawal. They were already acting against human interests. The missing ships might be a preview of what would happen to any humans who refused to obey the ultimatum. "How many people are we talking about?" Soo-jin asked. "Total population in all colonies beyond Sol?" 47 million, Hana answered, immediately. "Including children, elderly, and people with medical conditions that make travel dangerous. Moving them all would require every transport ship in human space working non-stop for months." "And the Council knows this," Taemin added. "They're not expecting us to evacuate. They're expecting us to submit or die trying to resist." Soo-jin stood up and walked to the main display screen. It showed the same map the Council had displayed. Hundreds of red dots representing human settlements across the galaxy. Each dot represented thousands or millions of lives. People who had left Earth to build new homes among the stars. "They want to see human barbarism," she said finally. "They think we're primitive warriors who only understand violence." She turned to face Taemin and Hana. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held a cold fire that both officers recognized. "If that's what they expect," Soo-jin continued, "then perhaps it's time to show them what our species is truly capable of when cornered." Taemin smiled for the first time all day. It was not a pleasant smile. "Shall I begin preparations?" he asked. "Begin everything," Soo-jin replied. "It's time the galaxy learned that underestimating humanity is a fatal mistake." Captain Jin-woo stood on the bridge of the reconnaissance vessel Resilience, staring at the empty space where a human cargo ship should have been. According to the flight plan, the merchant vessel Golden Hope was supposed to be here 3 days. Ego. Instead, there was nothing but stars and cosmic dust. "Anything on sensors?" Jin-woo asked his tactical officer. "Negative, Captain," Woo-jin replied from his station. "No ship signatures, no debris, no distress signals. It's like they just vanished." Engineer Mi-young looked up from her scanner readings. "That's not possible. A ship that size can't just disappear without leaving some trace." Jin-woo nodded. The Golden Hope was a large cargo vessel, over 400 meters long. It carried supplies for 3 different colonies and had a crew of 60 people. Ships like that didn't vanish without reason. "Take us deeper into the Kepler Nebula," Jin-woo ordered. "If someone attacked them, they might have tried to hide in the gas clouds." The Resilience moved slowly through the colorful nebula. The swirling gases made sensors less effective, but they also provided cover for anyone who wanted to stay hidden. Pirates sometimes used nebulas as hiding spots, but this area was supposed to be safe. After 2 hours of searching, Mi Young's equipment picked up something unusual. "Captain, I'm reading metal fragments about 20,000 kilometers ahead. The composition matches human ship construction." Jinwoo felt his stomach tighten. On screen, the main display showed a field of twisted metal floating in space. Pieces of hull plating, broken equipment, and scattered cargo containers drifted in the nebula gases, but something was wrong about the debris pattern. This wasn't a normal attack, Woo Jin said, studying the tactical readings. "Look at how the pieces are arranged. The ship was taken apart systematically." Mi Young ran detailed scans on the wreckage. "He's right, Captain. These aren't explosion patterns. Someone cut this ship into pieces with precision tools, like they were salvaging materials." Jinwoo had seen pirate attacks before. Pirates usually disabled a ship, took what they wanted, and left the hull intact. Sometimes they destroyed ships to cover their tracks, but that created distinctive blast patterns. This looked like industrial salvage work. "Any sign of the crew?" Jinwoo asked, though he feared the answer. "Scanning for life pods," Woo Jin replied. "Wait, I'm picking up something. There's a pod about 30 kilometers from the main debris field." The Resilience moved carefully toward the life pod. These small emergency vessels could keep a few people alive for weeks if necessary. As they got closer, Mi Young's face grew pale. "Captain, the pod has been breached. No life signs inside." They brought the pod aboard for examination. Inside, they found the bodies of 3 crew members from the Golden Hope. But these people hadn't died from life support failure or accidents. They had been killed by energy weapons. "This was execution," Woo Jin said grimly. "Someone pulled them out of the pod and shot them." Jinwoo stared at the bodies. These were civilian cargo handlers, not soldiers. They posed no threat to anyone. "Keep searching for more pods. Maybe some of the crew escaped." They spent the next 6 hours combing through the debris field. They found 4 more life pods, all breached, all containing dead civilians. The crew of the Golden Hope had tried to abandon ship, but their attackers had hunted them down and killed them one by one. But in the last pod they found, Mi Young discovered something important. "Captain, the pod's computer core is still intact. I might be able to recover some data." Back on the Resilience, Mi Young worked to extract information from the damaged computer. It took hours of careful work, but finally she recovered partial logs from the Golden Hope's final moments. The recordings showed the cargo ship being surrounded by unmarked vessels with advanced energy weapons. The attacking ships used council technology, but they carried no identification. The Golden Hope's captain tried to surrender, but the attackers ignored all communication attempts. "Look at this," Mi Young said, pointing to her screen. "The attacking ships used selective targeting. They disabled the Golden Hope's engines and weapons first, then systematically destroyed life support systems. This wasn't a robbery. They wanted to capture the ship intact." Jinwoo studied the tactical data. "But why kill the crew? If they wanted the cargo, they could have just taken it and let the people go." "Unless they didn't want witnesses," Woo Jin suggested. Mi Young continued analyzing the data. "Captain, there's something else. The Golden Hope was carrying more than just trade goods. Look at this cargo manifest." The list showed medical supplies, food concentrates, and atmospheric processors, all desperately needed by struggling outer colonies. The Golden Hope wasn't just a merchant vessel, it was carrying humanitarian aid to settlements that were barely surviving. "Bastards," Woo Jin muttered. "They killed people who were trying to help others." But the most disturbing discovery came when Mi Young analyzed the attacking ship's energy signatures. "Captain, I've compared these readings to our database of known vessels. The energy patterns match Council fleet ships." Jinwoo felt cold anger building in his chest. "Are you certain?" "Positive. The weapon signatures, the engine emissions, even the hull materials, everything matches Council military specifications. These weren't pirates or raiders. This was a Council operation." The implications were staggering. While the Council publicly demanded human withdrawal from space, they were secretly attacking human ships. They weren't just threatening humanity's future, they were already murdering human civilians. "Send an encrypted message to Earth Command," Jinwoo ordered. "Full priority, include all our data and analysis." On Earth, the message reached Fleet Admiral Tae Min within hours. He immediately called an emergency meeting with President Soo Jin and Chief Science Officer Hana. The three leaders gathered in the secure briefing room to review Jinwoo's findings. 7 cargo ships, Taemin said grimly, all carrying humanitarian supplies, all destroyed by Council forces. Sujin studied the images of the murdered crew members. How many people? 412 confirmed dead, Hana replied. All civilians, men, women, some barely out of their teens. And the Council expects us to believe this is about galactic peace, Sujin said, her voice deadly quiet. Taemin pulled up additional intelligence reports. It gets worse. Our listening posts have detected increased Council fleet movements near human space. They're positioning ships for what looks like a major operation. They're planning to attack our colonies directly, Hana concluded. The 30-day ultimatum isn't a real deadline. It's cover for military action. Sujin stood and walked to the strategic display. It showed human space surrounded by Council territories. Officially, the Council species were peaceful traders and diplomats. Unofficially, they were preparing for war. How long have they been planning this? She asked. Unknown, Taemin replied. But the missing ships pattern started 6 months ago. They've been testing our responses, learning our patrol routes, studying our capabilities. While we attended their diplomatic meetings and pretended to negotiate, Hana added bitterly. Sujin turned back to her advisors. Gentlemen, Dr. Hana, it's time to discuss what the Council doesn't know about humanity. Taemin smiled grimly and activated a holographic projector. The display showed Earth's official military forces, small patrol ships, basic defensive platforms, and limited colony guard units. This was what Council inspectors had seen and catalogued. Official human military strength, he said. Approximately 200 ships, mostly small craft with limited range and firepower. Then the display changed. New ships appeared, hidden bases activated, and the true scope of human military power revealed itself. Actual human military strength, Taemin continued. Over 2,000 ships, including heavy cruisers, stealth frigates, and weapons platforms. The Council has never seen. Sujin nodded. Project Retribution has been in development since first contact. We've always known this day might come. For 20 years, humanity had played weak while secretly building one of the most advanced military forces in the galaxy. They had studied every Council species, learned their technologies, and developed countermeasures for every threat. The Council thinks we're primitive barbarians, Hana said. They have no idea what human engineering can accomplish when we put our minds to it. More importantly, Taemin added, they don't understand human strategic thinking. They expect us to either surrender or fight like wild animals. They're not prepared for coordinated, intelligent warfare. Sujin looked at the display showing human space surrounded by hostile forces. 47 million human lives hung in the balance. But she felt a cold satisfaction knowing that the Council had made a fatal mistake. They want a war, she said finally. They've been killing our people and planning our destruction while pretending to negotiate peace. She turned to Taemin. Admiral, how long do you need to prepare for full military deployment? 72 hours for complete readiness, he replied. But we can begin operations in 24 hours if necessary. Begin immediately, Sujin ordered. The Council is about to learn that attacking humanity was the worst decision they ever made. Colonel Seung-ho stood in the massive hangar bay, watching as his ships prepared for launch. These weren't the small patrol vessels the Council had seen during their inspections. These were humanity's true warships, hidden for 20 years in secret facilities throughout the solar system. The stealth frigate Vengeance caught his attention. Captain Yoonji was supervising final preparations for her ship. The vessel looked different from typical human designs, sleeker, more advanced, with hull modifications that seemed almost alien. Impressive, isn't she? Dr. Hana appeared beside Seung-ho, following his gaze to the Vengeance. Those hull plates don't look like standard human construction, Seung-ho observed. Hana smiled. They're not. We've been reverse engineering Council technology for years. Every diplomatic meeting, every cultural exchange, every joint research project, we've been learning from them. The Vengeance represented the best of human innovation combined with alien technology. Its stealth systems could make it invisible to most sensors. Its weapons could punch through Council shields. Most importantly, its crew understood how to use these advantages. Captain Yoonji, Seung-ho called out. Status report. Yunji jogged over, her combat suit already sealed and ready. All systems green, Colonel. Stealth generators are calibrated and tested. We can stay hidden for up to 18 hours of continuous operation. And the special cargo? Hana asked. Loaded and secured, Yunji replied. Dr. Hana, are you certain these nano-drones will work as designed? Hana nodded confidently. Each drone is smaller than a grain of sand, but they can locate and disable specific electronic systems. The Council's ships rely heavily on automated systems. Once the drones infiltrate their networks, those ships become floating scrap metal. Seung-ho had seen demonstrations of the nano-drone technology. The tiny robots could slip through the smallest gaps in ship hulls, then multiply and spread throughout internal systems. They were programmed to disable weapons, engines, and life support, but only on ships with Council technology signatures. How many ships are ready for immediate deployment? Seung-ho asked. 47 stealth frigates, 16 heavy cruisers, and 8 dreadnoughts, Yunji replied. Plus support vessels and supply ships. Total fleet strength of 230 ships for the first wave. It was an impressive force, but Seung-ho knew the Council had thousands of ships. Human success would depend on surprise, technology, and superior tactics, not numbers. In another part of the facility, Lieutenant Dong-hyun worked at his computer station surrounded by dozens of screens. His team of cyber warfare specialists had spent years infiltrating Council communication networks. What had started as intelligence gathering was about to become the largest digital assault in galactic history. Status on the communication intercepts? Asked his second-in-command, Specialist Yujin. We have access to primary military channels for all 12 Council species, Dong-hyun replied. Their encryption is sophisticated, but they never changed the base codes we obtained during the cultural exchange programs. Yujin shook her head in amazement. 20 years of pretending to be interested in their art and music, and they never suspected we were really studying their computer systems. The Council thinks humans are too primitive for advanced cyber warfare, Dong-hyun said. They're about to learn otherwise. His screens showed real-time data from Council military bases across the galaxy, fleet positions, supply routes, communication, protocols, everything humanity needed to coordinate a devastating surprise attack. Once we begin jamming their communications, Yujin observed, they won't be able to coordinate responses. Each fleet will have to fight independently. Exactly, Dong-hyun agreed. The Council's strength comes from coordinated action between multiple species. Take away their ability to communicate, and they become 12 separate militaries with conflicting tactics. Meanwhile, on Andromeda Station, Ambassador Hyeon continued her diplomatic performance. She sat in the Council's waiting chamber, supposedly preparing humanity's surrender documents. Her aide, Chang Min, shuffled papers nervously, playing his role perfectly. The Council expects our formal acceptance of their terms in 6 hours, Chang Min said loudly enough for nearby alien staff to hear. Yes, Hyun replied sadly. 47 million people forced to abandon their homes. It will be the largest refugee crisis in human history. What the alien staff didn't know was that Hyeon and Chang Min were actually coordinating the timing of military operations through coded language. Every word they spoke was being monitored, but their real messages were hidden in seemingly innocent conversations. The transport schedules are very tight, Chang Min continued. We'll need to begin evacuations in outer sectors first, then work our way toward core systems. To alien listeners, this sounded like evacuation planning. In reality, Chang Min was confirming that human forces would strike Council installations in remote systems first, then advance toward their central strongholds. I just hope we can complete the process without any tragic accidents, Hyun added. This was the signal that all human civilians had been warned and moved to safety. The Council would find no innocent targets when they tried to retaliate against human colonies. Back on Earth, President Soo-jin stood in the command center as final preparations continued. Admiral Taemin approached with the latest intelligence reports. All fleet elements report ready, he said. Stealth ships are already moving toward their targets. The Council hasn't detected any unusual activity. What about our colonies? Soo-jin asked. Evacuation of non-essential personnel is complete, Taemin replied. Military-age civilians have been moved to defensive positions. If the Council does manage to attack our worlds, they'll find them well defended. Dr. Hana joined the conversation, carrying a tablet with technical readouts. Final testing on the nanodrone swarms is complete. We can deploy them in 12-hour cycles, hitting different Council fleets in sequence. How long before the Council realizes their ships are being systematically disabled? Su Jin asked. Each nanodrone deployment will look like a technical malfunction, Hana explained. Individual ships losing power, weapons failing, engines shutting down. It could be hours before they understand they're under attack. Su Jin studied the tactical displays showing Council forces positioned around human space. The aliens had clearly been planning their own attack, probably timed to begin right after the 30-day deadline expired. They expected to face desperate, poorly equipped human ships trying to protect helpless colonies. Instead, they would face the most technologically advanced fleet humanity had ever assembled, commanded by officers who had spent 2 decades studying Council weaknesses. Admiral, are our people ready for what they're about to do? Su Jin asked. Taemin's expression was grim but determined. They understand the stakes. The Council has already murdered 400 of our people. They're planning to kill millions. More. Our forces know they're fighting for human survival. And they know we're not trying to conquer anyone, Hana added. This is defensive action against a species that started the killing first. Su Jin nodded. The moral justification was clear, but that didn't make the decision easier. In a few hours, humanity would reveal its true military power to the galaxy. There would be no going back to the comfortable deception they had maintained for 20 years. Time until operation begins? She asked. 18 hours, 23 minutes, Taemin replied. All forces will strike simultaneously across 12 systems. The Council will be in emergency session, responding to reports of system failures. Across their fleets, Hana predicted. They won't understand what's happening until it's too late to respond effectively. Su Jin walked to the main strategic display. It showed the galaxy with human colonies marked in blue and Council territories in red. Soon those colors would change, as humanity demonstrated that being underestimated was the Council's fatal mistake. Gentlemen, Dr. Hana, she said formally, authorize Operation Retribution. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens human families. The command center burst into activity as orders went out to human forces across space. Stealth ships moved toward their targets. Cyber warfare teams prepared their attacks. Special forces units checked their equipment one final time. In 18 hours, the Galactic Council would learn that humanity was not the weak, primitive species they believed. They were about to face a military force that combined human ingenuity with 20 years of careful preparation and reverse-engineered alien technology. The galaxy was about to change forever. At exactly 0300 Galactic Standard Time, humanity struck back. Captain Yunji stood on the bridge of the Vengeance as her ship emerged from hyperspace near the Council's primary military shipyard. The massive orbital facility stretched for kilometers through space, building the advanced warships that enforced Council rule across the galaxy. Stealth systems active, her tactical officer reported. No indication they've detected us. Through the main view screen, Yunji could see dozens of Council warships in various stages of construction. These vessels represented the military might that had intimidated countless species into submission. In a few minutes, they would become helpless scrap metal. Deploy nano-drone swarms, Yunji ordered. The Vengeance launched thousands of tiny devices, each smaller than a grain of sand. The nano-drones spread out invisibly, carried by the ship's exhaust to avoid detection. They would infiltrate the Council ships through microscopic gaps, then begin their work of systematic destruction. The first signs of success came quickly. Warning lights began flashing on one of the new dreadnoughts as its main power systems fluctuated. Within minutes, the massive ship went completely dark, its engines shutting down and weapons systems failing. Beautiful, Yunji whispered as ship after ship began experiencing technical difficulties. The nano-drones were programmed to spread from ship to ship, creating a cascade of system failures that would look like accidents or maintenance problems. By the time Council engineers realized they were under attack, their entire fleet would be disabled. On the other side of the galaxy, Lieutenant Dong Hyun began his own assault. His fingers flew across multiple keyboards as his cyber warfare team launched coordinated attacks on Council communication networks. Primary military channels are down, reported Yu-Jin from her station. They're trying to switch to backup frequencies, but we're already inside those systems too. Dong-hyun smiled as status reports flooded his screens. 20 years of patient infiltration was paying off. Every council species relied on their advanced communication networks to coordinate fleet movements and share intelligence. Now those same networks were turning against them. "Scramble their targeting computers," he ordered. "Make sure their weapons can't lock onto our ships even if they do spot them." The cyber attack spread like wildfire through council systems. Military commanders found themselves unable to contact their fleets. Defensive platforms couldn't identify targets. Even the simple act of sending a message between ships became impossible as human viruses corrupted their data networks. At the same time, ground forces led by Colonel Seung Ho were conducting liberation operations across council space. His teams moved through alien installations like ghosts, their advanced equipment making them nearly invisible to council sensors. "Detention Facility Beta 7 secured," reported his team leader over encrypted communications. 63 human prisoners recovered, all alive. Seung Ho felt relief mixed with anger. The humans they were rescuing had been captured from the missing cargo ships. The council had been taking prisoners as well as killing crews, probably for interrogation and study. "Any resistance?" he asked. "Minimal. Their security systems went offline about 10 minutes ago. The guards are confused and disorganized." That would be Dong-hyun's work. With their communication and computer systems compromised, council forces couldn't coordinate responses or even understand what was happening to them. "Continue the operation," Seung Ho ordered. "Recovery teams are standing by for immediate evacuation." His soldiers moved through the facility with practiced efficiency. They wore advanced combat suits that provided both protection and stealth capability. Their weapons were designed to incapacitate rather than kill. Humanity wanted to rescue prisoners, not start a massacre. The rescued humans were weak and frightened, but alive. They told stories of interrogation and threats, but no systematic torture. The council had been gathering intelligence about human colonies and military capabilities, preparing for their planned attack. "Thank God you found us," said one rescued civilian, a cargo ship navigator named Min Ho. "They kept asking about our patrol schedules and defensive positions." "Did you tell them anything?" Seung Ho asked gently. Min Ho looked ashamed. "Some things. They threatened to space the younger crew members if we didn't cooperate." "You did the right thing," Seung Ho assured him. "We expected they might try interrogation. That's why our real military positions were never shared with civilian ships." The council had learned nothing useful from their prisoners except outdated information about human patrol routes. Meanwhile, humanity had gained valuable intelligence about council detention procedures and interrogation methods. On Andromeda Station, Ambassador Hyon maintained her diplomatic performance even as reports of system failures began reaching the council chambers. She sat calmly in the waiting area, reviewing papers with Changmin as alien staff rushed around in growing panic. "Ma'am," Changmin said in coded language, "the transportation schedules are proceeding exactly as planned." Hyon nodded, understanding that human forces were successfully hitting their targets across council space. "Excellent. I hope we can complete all arrangements without any unexpected delays." This confirmed that the operation was on schedule and meeting its objectives. Council forces were being systematically disabled while human civilians were safely evacuated from potential retaliation zones. A council aide approached them, looking nervous. "Ambassador Hyon, the council session may be delayed. We're experiencing some technical difficulties with our communication systems." "Oh my," Hyon replied, with false concern. "Nothing serious, I hope?" "Probably just routine maintenance problems," the aide said, though his expression suggested otherwise. "These things happen occasionally with such complex networks." Hyon exchanged a meaningful glance with Changmin. The council still didn't understand they were under attack. They were treating the systematic failure of their military infrastructure as a series of unfortunate coincidences. Back on Earth, Admiral Tae-min watched the operation unfold from the command center. Status reports flowed in from across the galaxy as human forces completed objective after objective with minimal resistance. Fleet Group Alpha reports successful deployment at the Zerion system, his communications officer announced. 3 Council, battlecruisers disabled. No casualties on either side. Fleet Group Beta has secured the mining platform at Kepler 442, came another report. Significant stockpiles of strategic materials recovered. President Su Jin studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. The operation was proceeding even better than their best-case projections. Council forces were proving completely unprepared for coordinated human action. "Any sign they understand what's happening?" she asked. "Not yet," Taemin replied. "Individual commanders are reporting equipment failures and communication problems, but they haven't connected the incidents. They still think they're dealing with technical malfunctions." Dr. Hana approached with updated intelligence reports. "The nanodrone deployments are exceeding expectations. We've disabled over 400 council ships with 0 casualties. Their military strength has been reduced by approximately 30% in the first 6 hours. "What about civilian populations?" Su Jin asked. "No civilian casualties reported," Hana confirmed. "Our forces are following strict engagement protocols. Military targets only, with preference for disabling over destruction." Su Jin nodded approvingly. Humanity was demonstrating that advanced military capability didn't require brutality. They could cripple Council military forces while protecting innocent lives, something the Council clearly hadn't considered when they murdered human cargo crews. "Time until Phase 2? She asked. 4 hours, Taemin replied. "That's when Admiral Taemin himself arrives at Andromeda Station with the main fleet. Phase 2 would end humanity's deception permanently. The hidden dreadnought Indomitable would arrive at the Council's capital station, revealing humanity's true military power to the shocked alien leadership." "Are you ready for your dramatic entrance?" Su Jin asked with a slight smile. Taemin grinned. 20 years of pretending our ships were primitive scrap heaps. I'm looking forward to showing them what human engineering really looks like. Tadir, Indomitable was humanity's masterpiece, a fusion of human design philosophy with reverse-engineered Council technology. It was larger, faster, and more heavily armed than any ship in Council fleets. More importantly, it represented human determination, to protect their people no matter the cost. The Council wanted to see human barbarism, Dr. Hana observed. Instead, they're getting a demonstration of human precision, planning, and technological superiority. Better than barbarism, Su Jin agreed. We're showing them that underestimating humanity was the worst mistake they could make. Across the galaxy, the first phase of Operation Retribution continued. Council forces found themselves helpless as their most advanced technology turned against them. Human rescue teams liberated prisoners, while cyber warfare specialists turned Council networks into weapons against their own users. In less than 12 hours, humanity had neutralized the Council's ability to coordinate large-scale military action. The aliens who had planned to force human surrender through overwhelming force now found their own fleets disabled and their communication systems compromised. The galaxy was. Council Prime Velthar stood in the emergency session chamber, his 4 arms gesturing frantically as reports of disaster flooded in from across Council space. The massive displays around the chamber showed system after system reporting equipment. Failures, communication breakdowns, and unexplained technical problems. "This cannot be coincidence," Velthar declared to the assembled representatives. "Someone is attacking our infrastructure." The insect-like representative from Platform 7 clicked nervously. "Our fleets report widespread system failures. Weapons offline, engines disabled, communication arrays malfunctioning, but sensors show no enemy ships in the affected areas." "Perhaps it's some kind of natural phenomenon," suggested the plant-like alien from Platform 3. "Solar storms or electromagnetic fields could cause such problems." Velthar's large, dark eyes narrowed. "Across 12 different star systems simultaneously, affecting only Council military assets while civilian shipping remains unharmed? This is clearly an attack." Ambassador Hyun sat quietly in the diplomatic section, watching the alien leaders struggle to understand what was happening to them. Her expression showed concern and confusion, but inside she felt cold satisfaction. The Council was finally experiencing the fear they had tried to inflict on humanity. "Has anyone claimed responsibility for these attacks?" asked the scaly reptilian from Platform 9. "No communications have been received," Velthar replied. "Our intelligence services are investigating, but with our networks compromised, gathering information is difficult." Changmin leaned over to whisper to Hyun, loud enough for nearby aliens to hear. "Should we postpone our surrender ceremony?" This seems like a bad time. No, Hyun replied firmly. The Council's technical problems are not our concern. We must proceed with abandoning our colonies as demanded. The aliens around them nodded approvingly. Even in the midst of their crisis, the humans were cooperating with Council demands. It never occurred to them that humanity might be responsible for their troubles. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout Andromeda Station. Emergency lights flashed as the station's sensors detected something approaching from hyperspace. The main display showed a massive energy signature emerging from the swirling vortex of a hyperspace exit point. "Unknown vessel approaching," announced the station's artificial intelligence. "Configuration does not match any known design." Velthar felt a chill of fear as the approaching ship became visible on the main screen. It was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the largest Council dreadnoughts. Its hull gleamed with an unusual metallic finish that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. "That's impossible," whispered the insect representative. "No species in this galaxy has ships that large." But Hyun was smiling now, her diplomatic mask finally dropping. "Actually, you're wrong about that." The alien representatives turned to stare at her in confusion. Hyun stood up slowly, her entire demeanor changing from submissive diplomat to confident leader. "Council Prime Velthar," she said formally, "allow me to present Admiral Taemin of the Earth Defense Force aboard the dreadnought Indomitable. The A." Council chamber erupted in shocked voices as the implications hit them. The massive warship approaching their station was human. The species they had dismissed as primitive barbarians had built a vessel that dwarfed their most advanced ships. "This is impossible," Velthar sputtered. "Human technology is primitive. We've inspected your ships. We know your capabilities." "You know what we chose to show you," Hyun corrected calmly. "For 20 years, humanity has maintained careful diplomatic relations with the Council. We showed you exactly what you expected to see: a weak backward species with limited technology. The Indomitable moved gracefully through space toward Andromeda Station, its massive bulk casting shadows across the Council facility. As it drew closer, the alien representatives could see details that made their confidence crumble further. The ship's hull was covered with weapon systems that appeared both familiar and alien. Energy cannons based on Council designs, but clearly improved beyond their original specifications. Launch bays for fighter craft that looked sleeker and more advanced than anything in Council fleets. "Where did you obtain this technology?" demanded the reptilian representative. "We developed it ourselves," Hyun replied. "Based on careful study of Council systems during our many cultural exchanges and diplomatic meetings. Every time your inspectors visited our facilities, we learned something new. Every joint research project taught us more about your capabilities." Changmin stood up beside her, his nervous aide persona completely gone. "The cargo ship crews you murdered were carrying more than humanitarian supplies. They were also carrying sensor packages that monitored Council military patrol patterns and response times." The alien representatives stared in growing horror as they realized the scope of human deception. For 2 decades, they had believed themselves superior to humanity, while the humans systematically studied, analyzed, and surpassed their technology. "You're claiming responsibility for the attacks on our fleets?" Velthar asked, his voice shaking. "I'm claiming responsibility for defensive action against a hostile force," Hyun corrected. "Your Council has murdered 400 human civilians in the past 6 months. You have threatened 47 million more with forced evacuation from their homes. You have positioned military fleets around human space in preparation for attack." The main display showed the Indomitable taking position directly in front of Andromeda Station. Smaller ships emerged from its launch bays, sleek fighters and assault craft that moved with predatory grace. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer hiding its true capabilities. "We could destroy this station and everyone on it," Hyun continued conversationally. "Our technology is now superior to yours in most areas. Our tactical planning has been refined through 20 years of preparation. Our forces have demonstrated the ability to disable your fleets without suffering a single casualty." Velthar's pale blue skin had turned an even lighter shade. "What do you want?" "First, the immediate release of all human prisoners in Council custody," Hyun demanded. Second, compensation for the families of murdered cargo crews. Third, formal recognition of human territorial rights and the end of your expansion restrictions. And if we refuse? Asked the insect representative, though his clicking had become nervous and rapid. Changmin smiled coldly. Then you'll discover what human barbarism actually looks like. So far, we've been remarkably civilized. Your fleets are disabled, not destroyed. Your crews are alive, not dead. Your installations are captured, not obliterated. But that can change very quickly if you continue to threaten our people, Hyun added. Admiral Taemin's voice suddenly echoed through the council chamber as he established communication from the Indomitable. Council Prime Velthar. This is Admiral Taemin of the Earth Defense Force. I'm transmitting evidence of your military preparations for attacking human colonies. The main display showed detailed intelligence reports, council fleet movements, attack plans, and resource allocations for what was clearly intended to be a massive assault on human space. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. You positioned these fleets to attack civilian settlements immediately after your 30-day deadline, Taemin continued. Your plan was to eliminate human presence in space through military force, while claiming we had refused to comply with council demands. The alien representatives looked at each other with growing panic. Their secret military preparations had been completely exposed. Humanity not only knew about the planned attack, but had evidence that would justify any retaliation. However, Taemin's voice took on a more diplomatic tone. Humanity prefers peace to war. We're prepared to negotiate a new arrangement that respects the rights of all species, including humans. Velthar slumped in his chair, his political authority crumbling along with council military power. Around the chamber, other representatives whispered among themselves in their various languages. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted dramatically in just 24 hours. What kind of arrangement? Velthar asked wearily. Equal representation for all species, Hyun replied. An end to the Council's oligarchic control over galactic affairs. Democratic decision-making based on mutual respect rather than military intimidation. And if any species refuses to accept these changes? Asked the plant-like representative. Admiral Taemin's voice carried a note of steel. Then they'll deal with the combined military forces of Earth and any other species that value freedom over oppression. The council chamber fell silent as the alien representatives contemplated their situation. Their fleets were disabled, their communication networks compromised, and their secret plans exposed. The species they had dismissed as primitive barbarians had outsmarted, outplanned, and outfought them completely. I believe, Velthar said slowly, that new negotiations may be necessary. Hyun smiled. I believe you're absolutely right. 6 months after Operation Retribution, Andromeda Station looked completely different. The imposing council chamber with its 12 towering platforms had been replaced by a circular assembly hall where representatives from all species sat at the same level. No one looked down on anyone else anymore. Secretary General Hyun stood at the central podium, addressing the reformed Galactic Assembly. Her title was new, elected by democratic vote from all member species. The old Council Prime system had been abolished along with most other reminders of oligarchic rule. Today marks the completion of our transition to democratic governance, Hyun announced to the assembled representatives. For the first time in galactic history, all species have equal voice in determining our shared future. The applause came from humans and aliens alike. The former council species had adapted surprisingly well to their new circumstances. Fear had evolved into respect, and respect had grown into genuine cooperation. It helped that humanity had proven remarkably generous in victory. In the military command section, Admiral Taemin reviewed patrol reports from the Galactic Peace Fleet. His ships now included vessels from multiple species, all working together to maintain order and protect trade routes. The contrast with the old system was striking. Status report from Sector 7, his aide reported. Joint patrol consisting of human, Velthari, and Zeridian ships successfully intercepted pirate raiders near the Antares system. No casualties. On either side. Taemin nodded approvingly. The mixed-species patrols were working better than anyone had expected. Former enemies now shared tactical knowledge and coordinated responses to common threats. Pirates and raiders found themselves facing opposition they couldn't predict or counter effectively. What about the exploration missions? Taemin asked. Captain Jin Woo's expedition discovered 2 new habitable worlds last week, his aide replied. Survey teams from 6 different species are conducting joint analysis. Initial colonization rights will be distributed by lottery system as agreed. This was perhaps humanity's most radical innovation, shared exploration and colonization rights. Instead of claiming new worlds for themselves, humans had proposed a system where discoveries benefited all species equally. It was a dramatic change from the territorial competition that had characterized galactic expansion for centuries. On the civilian levels of the station, Dr. Hana supervised the Galactic Technology Exchange. The facility buzzed with activity as scientists from different species worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old system. The fusion power improvements are showing excellent results, reported her Velthari colleague, scientist Kethmore. Combining human engineering with our materials science has increased efficiency by 40%. What about the medical research? Hana asked. Even better. The regenerative therapy project is ready for clinical trials. Human genetic knowledge combined with Zeridian biotechnology and Zerion pharmacology is producing treatments we never thought possible. Hana smiled as she watched the diverse research teams working side by side. The technology exchange had become one of the Assembly's greatest successes. Species that had guarded their knowledge jealously were now sharing freely, resulting in advances that benefited everyone. President Sujin arrived at the station for the monthly executive briefing. As Earth's representative to the Assembly's governing council, she helped coordinate policy between multiple species with very different needs and perspectives. Population update from the new colonies? She asked Hyun during their private meeting. 12 million settlers across 43 worlds, Hyun replied. Humans, Velthari, Zeridians, and 5 other species all living and working together. The integration programs are exceeding all projections. Any conflicts? Minor disputes over resource allocation and cultural differences, but nothing the Yay arbitration system can't handle. Turns out species get along much better when they're not competing for survival. Sujin studied the statistical reports with satisfaction. The new colonies represented something unprecedented in galactic history. Genuine multi-species cooperation rather than conquest or domination. Humans had sparked this change, but they didn't control it. What about the former council fleets? She asked. Fully integrated into the Peace Fleet, Hyun replied. Admiral Tae-min reports excellent cooperation between human and alien crews. Several joint missions have received commendations for outstanding performance. The transformation of former enemies into allies remained one of humanity's greatest achievements. Instead of demanding surrender or imposing harsh terms, humans had offered partnership and mutual benefit. The response had been overwhelmingly positive. Captain Yoon-ji docked her ship at the station's military port. The Vengeance had just completed a deep space patrol along the galactic rim, searching for signs of hostile forces or unknown threats. Her crew now included officers from 3 different species, all working together seamlessly. Any interesting discoveries? Admiral Tae-min asked as she reported for debriefing. Possible signs of ancient technology near the Omega Centauri cluster? Yoon-ji replied. Nothing immediate threatening, but worth investigating with a full scientific expedition. Approved. Coordinate with Dr. Hana's department for a joint exploration mission. This was how things worked now. Shared discoveries, joint investigations, and collective decision-making. The competitive secrecy of the old council system had been replaced by open cooperation that benefited everyone. In the Assembly's main hall, former Council Prime Velthar addressed his new colleagues. His species had adapted remarkably well to democratic governance, becoming some of humanity's strongest supporters in the process. 6 months ago, my people viewed humans as primitive barbarians, he admitted to the gathering. We believed our technological superiority made us natural leaders of galactic civilization. Murmurs of agreement came from other former council representatives. They had all shared similar attitudes before humanity's revelation. We were wrong about everything, Velthar continued. Human barbarism was actually sophisticated strategic thinking. Their primitive technology was carefully concealed advancement. Their aggressive expansion was peaceful colonization that we misunderstood because of our own prejudices. He paused to look around the chamber at representatives from dozens of species. Humanity taught us that true strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation. Not from hiding knowledge, but from sharing it. Not from ruling others, but from serving together. The applause was genuine and heartfelt. Velthar had become one of humanity's most vocal advocates, using his influence to promote the new democratic system throughout former council territories. Lieutenant Dong Hyun worked in the station's communications center, now responsible for maintaining the network that connected all assembly worlds. The same systems he had once used to attack council infrastructure now served to unite diverse species in common purpose. Message traffic is up 30% this month, reported Yu Jin, now his department head. Trade negotiations, research collaborations, cultural exchanges, educational programs. The network is handling more peaceful communication than the old council system ever supported. Any security concerns? Dong Hyun asked. Minor attempted intrusions from outside the assembly territories, Yu Jin replied. Probably pirates or raiders trying to gather intelligence. Nothing our defenses can't handle. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. The cyber warfare techniques developed to attack council systems now protected the democratic networks that had replaced them. Former weapons had become tools of peace and cooperation. As the station's day cycle ended, Hyun stood in her office looking out at the stars. The view included Earth's moon in the distance, visible through the observation window. It reminded her of how far humanity had come since that first ultimatum 6 months ago. The Council had expected to see human barbarism and had received a demonstration of human capability instead. They had threatened 47 million human lives and learned that attacking humanity was a fatal mistake. They had tried to impose their will through force and discovered that true strength came from earning respect rather than demanding submission. A chime announced Admiral Taemin's arrival for their evening briefing. "Status update from Earth Command," he reported. The third wave of exploration ships launched successfully. 12 vessels with mixed crews heading for uncharted regions beyond assembly space. "Any word from Captain Jin Woo's expedition?" Hyun asked. "They've confirmed 3 more habitable worlds in the Kepler sector. All 3 will be developed as joint colonies under assembly protocols." Hyun nodded. Humanity continued to expand into space, but now they did so as part of a larger community rather than as isolated pioneers. The galaxy was becoming a place of cooperation rather than competition. "The morning briefing tomorrow will cover the proposed defense treaty with the Andromedan Federation," Taemin continued. "They're interested in joining the Assembly's Mutual Protection Agreement." "Good. The more species that choose cooperation over conflict, the safer everyone becomes." As Taemin left, Hyun remained at the window watching ships from multiple species dock at the station. Human vessels worked alongside alien craft, their crews mingling freely in the station's common areas. Children from different worlds played together in the education